what kind of mistakes you're going to make. So hopefully I will cover them. Um, I don't remember that any of you, I want to look again at the list of you all. Most of you did very well. Um, if you're unsure, then, if you can do split screen and look at your assignment, or if you will, at a minimum, go back to your assignment and see if I left any comments. I left a lot when I went through it this morning because some people did them all and they had one mistake that they just continued to make the whole time. So I want to be sure that we're clearing those up. Okay, corregimos la tarea, pero más que nada vamos a hacer eso. So we're going to go over your homework, but before we do anything else, I want to do this. So we tried to do this all together earlier with the 7th graders, and that's not super handy because of the timing of Zoom. So that makes language a little bit harder because you can't do the normal choral responses that are so helpful to your pronunciation. So I'm going to have to just trust that you repeat after me. So I think the best way is probably to stay muted so it's not total chaos when everybody talks, since the timing is all screwed up. But the best way to really memorize these answers is to keep saying them and saying them and saying them. Yes.
Could we go back to the assignment and make corrections, or just watch?
You can absolutely make corrections. I didn't take points off for mistakes. If you did the whole assignment, then I gave you full credit, but I still want you to be able to see what your errors were. The only time I don't give full credit is if either you didn't do what I asked you to do because you didn't follow instructions, or if it's not complete. If it's just homework, then you can do the whole thing, can be completely wrong, and I'll still give you credit for doing it. Okay, so what you all should do is repeat after me and then do it regularly to help yourself memorize. If I had you face to face, we would do this every single day until I felt like you didn't need me anymore to do it. And as soon as you sound really good and confident on your own, then I feel like you are ready to continue on and learn other verbs without me constantly going back to these endings. But it takes a lot of reinforcement and repetition in order to memorize these endings. So along with the endings, if you don't know your subject pronouns yet, that's a problem. It's going to be a big problem, guys. So if you don't know them yet, then go back to the Quizlet, watch the subject pronoun Quizlet, because it's something you're going to have to learn. Like when I give you a conjugation quiz, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer if you don't know what the subjects mean. So that's a big problem. And from here on out, almost everything we do will build upon the previous thing that you did. So on Monday, I'm going to add ER and IR verbs. And compared to this, if you know how to do this, you're going to be like, okay, no problem, I have it. If you don't know this, you're just going to be even more confused than you are now. So it's worth spending the time. It's good that you're here so that we can clear up any confusion that you might have. Okay, so you guys are going to repeat these endings after me, and you always want to do it in this order. Repiten. O, as, a. Amos a isan. O, as, a. Amos a isan. Now I'm going to uncover them and you say them yourself. O as a amos a isan. O as a amos a isan. Sometimes you sound like a lunatic in foreign language class, but that's what you got to do in order to memorize them. So we're looking at your homework here. So every single one of these, I gave you the English because I really do sympathize with your struggle to be able to look at the materials you need and do the work. I'm sure that's a huge pain. So I try to give you as much as I can within the document I want you to work on. So the English is here. Viajar means to travel. Vosotros isn't, I don't think. Oh, yes, it is at the top of this conjugation page. I think it is. So you did have that, but if you happen to not look at that chart at the top, then it made it much harder. So viajar, vosotros, we have to travel. So the first conjugation is vosotros viajáis. In the English translation, then, you know that it means to travel. If I say vosotros, you have to know what vosotros means in order to translate it. Y'all travel. Y'all travel. Pasar, to pass, you can also use it to say to spend time. You don't use it to say to spend money. Pasar ustedes. Ustedes is an na, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Right bottom is where that ending is. Ustedes pasan. All of you pass or maybe spend time. Pasan tiempo. We lost Sunny. Now she's back. Okay, number 3, estudiar. If you have a question at all, just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. You don't have to wait for me. Hold on, I guess I'm not letting it. She must have got kicked out. Alrighty. So estudiar los chicos. So this subject is here very intentionally because kids look at this and go, it's none of these. Your subject pronouns are the subject pronouns. I, we, he, she. Those are vocab words you have to know. However, los chicos, so the kids are made up of what? Boys and girls, right? So that's a third person, and there's more than one of them. So it is the bottom right of that verb box. So even though it says los chicos and it doesn't say ellos, you're not going to change it to ellos. You're just going to use the same ending. So you'll say los chicos estudian. And it will translate as the kids, what do they do? Study. The kids study. A whole bunch of people went through this entire thing and put like, vosotros viajar, ustedes pasar, los chicos estudiar. Can anybody tell me what you're saying if that's what you say? What does it say if I say los chicos estudiar? Go ahead and unmute yourself, Sunny.
The kids to study.
Right. The kids to study. That doesn't make much sense at all. So you have to deal with the conjugation. Comprar, to buy, it's ella, o, as. A is third person singular, so we're going to put an a at the end. Compra, ella compra. She buys. I was just going to say something, and it was going to be what? Forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I didn't talk about those first 2 steps. For estudiar, make sure that you're thinking of the first 2 steps of conjugation. Those rules are very specific. The last 2 letters are the ending of the infinitive, and that's all you take off. So often, really often, kids say, oh, she said the last 2 letters, but that's a vowel too. I guess I should take that off too. Leave it there. So even though the infinitive is estudiar and there are 2 vowels at the end, you still only take the last 2 letters. So you're left with estudi is your stem. So then you have to match up the subject pronouns with the endings. And again, if you don't know the subject pronouns, you can't do that. So we're looking at number 5 now. Trabajar means to work. And if we say we work, what's always the ending for nosotros? Anybody?
Amos.
Amos. It's always amos. Amos and o are pretty easy for everyone to remember. They just stick out more than the other ones. Nosotros trabajamos, we work. Cantar, to sing. Vosotros can, what's the ending? Anybody? What is it? You can just unmute and say it.
País.
Cantáis, muy bien. So it says, y'all sing. And again, you're only going to use that in Spain. Echar means to throw. This is not often a common word to learn when you're just starting out in Spanish 1. And my philosophy for 30 years has been, I don't care if it's not typical. It's a regular AR verb. So why not give it to you? You can use any verb you want to if it's regular and you know the endings. That's why I teach this early. You haven't even learned all of like feminine and masculine and the, a, and we haven't done any of that. And you know why? Because it's so stinking boring. It's a great way to lose all the kids. So I never like to do that first. I start with teaching you how to say what you like to do. And then we learn how to conjugate so you can actually say some things in Spanish. So that's why I do this, but we break it into small chunks. So right now we're conjugating. I think everybody's got the ending for ella, ella echa. She throws. Escuchar is to listen to. That extra to is always there. To listen, yeah, it can also mean to listen, but it's more often to listen to. I listen to is what you're going to be changing this to. So you'll drop the AR, add the O, yo escucho, I listen to. Everybody fine so far? Board faces, that's what we want to see. You get it then. Lily.
Oh, there we go. I have a math Zoom in like 4 minutes. Is it okay if I leave like a minute early?
Yes, absolutely.
Same here.
Okay, thank you.
It's okay. You can watch the rest of the recording and be sure you watch it though, because there's conjugation practice. So it'll be worth it to you. Llamar, to call to. So you drop the AR, add AS, to llamas. Conjugation would be you call. Intentar means to try. Sergio, I got a couple questions on that. And people were like, well, I don't know what Sergio is supposed to be. If it's, I give it to you as a subject and it's capitalized, then it's a proper noun. You can assume that it's a name. Sergio is a name. So we're going to use an a like we would for he. Intenta, Sergio tries. Dibujar, to draw. Again, amos, dibujamos, nosotros dibujamos, we draw. Lavar, to wash, vosotros. Ais is what we're going to add after we drop the AR. That gives us laváis, y'all wash. Llevar is to take something with you. It can also be to carry or to wear. In this case, we're going to use it for to take with you. Ustedes llevan. Evitar is to avoid. Evito, I avoid. And hablar, to speak. Tú hablas, you speak. Those are all the right answers for yesterday's work. Do you have any questions? If you have a question you don't want to ask right now, you can always email me or attach it to a private comment in your assignment. Probably better to email me at this point because I've already graded today's work. Okay, practicamos las conjugaciones. When I'm with my face-to-face kids, we do this every day. Some days we go through all of our vocab like this, and then we also do whatever verb tense that we're working on. In this case, you guys are doing present tense. So the infinitive is bailar, and the yo form will be, you can unmute yourselves and say them if you know them. Yo bai what? Did you say, huh?
No, I said ah.
I was like, what? Say whole words, Amy. Yo bailo. Bien. Tú, what's the ending going to be? Bye.
Tú vayas.
Tú bailas. Está bien. You don't have to wait for me to call on you. Go ahead and unmute yourself and say the answer if you know it. Ella
Vaya.
baila. It's a regular L and it's not a double L. Baila. Bailo, bailas, baila. Cantar is to sing. Vosotros can.
Canteas.
Cantáis. Cantáis. El.
Canta.
El canta. Tú.
Cantas.
Tú cantas. Perfecto. Hablar, to speak. Yo.
Hablar.
Yo. Hablar is the infinitive. I want you to say first person, no AR. Yo hablo.
Hablo.
Hablo. Yo hablo. Está muy bien. Ellos hablan.
Hablan.
Hablan. Eso sí. Ella habla.
Habla.
Habla, está muy bien. So I speak, they speak, she speaks. Nadar, to swim, you and I. Tú y yo, so that's the we form. Na. Nobody knows the nosotros form?
Nadamos.
Nadamos, sí. Tú nad.
Nadas.
Nada. Súper bien, Sunny. Ellos.
Nadan.
Nadan.
Nadan. Ellos nadan. You're getting better already. Preparar. Yo preparo.
Preparado.
Preparo. Muy bien. Él prepara.
Preparada.
Prepara. Sunny's killing it. The rest of you don't let her take over. Ellos preparan.
Preparan.
Preparan. Muy bien, Julia. Necesitar. Ana necesita.
Necesito.
No.
Necesita.
Necesita. Ana's a girl. Third person singular. Ustedes necesitan.
Necesita.
Necesitan. Está bien. Vosotros necesitáis.
Necesitáis.
Necesitáis. I think you were right, Sunny. You just had trouble pronouncing it. Necesitan. Necesitáis. Tocar is to play only an instrument. You can't play soccer and use this verb. It doesn't work. Ella
Toca.
toca, eso sí. Ustedes
Tocan.
tocan, está muy bien. Yo
Toco.
toco, está muy bien. I think you got 2 more to go. Dibujar is to draw. Ellos dibujan. What?
Dibuja.
Dibujan, sí, sí es. Yo
Dibujo.
dibujo, está muy bien. Nosotros
Dibujamos.
dibujamos, perfecto. Last one, yo olvido.
Olvido.
Yo olvido. Whoops. Sometimes I jump the gun a little bit. Ellas olvidan, to forget. I forget. They forget. Miguel forgets.
Olvida.
Olvida. Ladies, you're doing great. Do you have any specific questions for me? Everyone feels fine.